Hey everyone, I hope you've had a great day so far and that you're doing well. For this video we'll be going through an unboxing and review of Warrior class Skywarp, and this version of Skywarp is from Transformers Earthspark. So wrapping up the Warrior class side of what I currently have in the backlog with Skywarp, and prior to Skywarp had a look at Elite 1 and Optimus Prime, who basically started the whole Earthspark reviews. Getting straight into it, front of the packaging for Skywarp. Now there was a reason why I did Optimus first and Skywarp last. I think that'll become very apparent soon enough. Either way, Skywarp there in a very open packaging. We have a nice shot of Skywarp here trying to demonstrate the weapon gimmick. And we also have the image of Skywarp here in the back, based on the, I dare say, the animation style. And interestingly enough, Skywarp in Earthspark has taken a bit of a feminine appearance. Now I have to pretty much play catch up on Earthspark just to understand why that is, but it is what it is. Anyway, front of the packaging, in terms of the back, Skywarp in robot mode, alt mode, 7 steps of conversion. A little bit light, but as I said, there is a reason why Skywarp was the last of the 3. I'm also going to do my whole usual statement of warrior class, but I think this is pushing it. Anyway, box side of things done. Time to get Skywarp out of the packaging, have a better look, and probably be promptly disturbed by what Skywarp can and cannot do. And with Skywarp out of the packaging, so we have one Skywarp, which is to be expected, and a manual. And I've already had a quick look at the manual, and I'm actually going to have a sneaking suspicion this could be a redeco of Starscream from Cyberverse Bumblebee, which could explain a lot of things. But anyway, Skywarp will come back to you. You can actually just happily stand there. The reason why, because you don't want to lay down flat. So in terms of the manual, so this will actually have a bit more of a quote-unquote automatic gimmick, although it's one of those terrible wind-up type of gimmicks, so may or may not record very well. As for the instructions, as the back of the box suggested, it is 7 steps of conversion. It's not a lot, and this is why it reinforces that I think it's just a redeco. So that is the manual. Whether I actually need it or not remains to be seen. Skywarp. Okay. Skywarp from the front, the side, the back, the other side, bit of a close-up, and as we already know, you can actually stand on your own 2 feet. Now, in terms of colours, so you definitely do have a bit of a darker graphite, dark grey / black primary colour. We do have a bit of blue on you as well. Some metallic blue, not too sure why, and a bit of silver trimming here and there, and you do have red eyes. So visually you actually don't look too bad, especially given that we do have the Decepticon logos emblazoned on the wings. So visually you're okay. You're not great, but you're okay. You will have a little bit of kibbling on the back, but that's to be expected given you are a jet. But given you're a seeker, actually doesn't look too bad. The hollow legs, well. Anyway, so that was a quick look of Skywarp. In terms of the articulation, and this I'm not holding my breath on. Okay, so the head can actually move around, which is good. Can it do a full 360? Not really. I mean, it probably could, but it's very tight. So potential for a 360 is there, which is good. Better than Elite 1. But it's just rotation basically to the left and to the right. As for the arms, you definitely can't get a full 360 because the wings are in the way, so the arm will go all the way to the top, all the way to the bottom. The part of this, well, that part of the arm can go to the side, which is good, and you will have just a bit more than a 90-degree elbow bend. And that is about it for the arms, so don't be expecting too many awesome poses. Now you will have some waist rotation. I was going to say wrist. I'm not going to demonstrate it because it's part of the weird action gimmick and will just end up confusing me and baffling me to no end. But I will come back to it at the end before we switch over to the alt mode. So we'll come back to that. As for the legs, well, the good news is at least you can do the full split. And that's probably about it. I feel like I'm going to snap something. So there is quote unquote some motion to the front and the back, but it won't stay. So I have a feeling that's because I'm just moving something inadvertently and it just looks really weird. So yes, from the legs perspective, if you want to do the full splits, you got that covered. Got that covered in spades. And that's about it. So further reinforcement that I don't think this figure actually was created as a distinct figure for Earthspark. And it does make me wonder, because I definitely didn't pick one up previously, whether I need to go backwards in time and see if this really is just a redeco of a Starscream figure from the Cyberverse Bumblebee. Anyway, in terms of the gimmick, since we'll try it before we do the transformation, built-in weapons, by the way, so the null rays or side weapons are there. I won't spend too much time on that. So the gimmick is apparently, I'm just going to unlock the legs from the body. So it's just like this little weird I mean, it's sadly not doing it very well now. You can hear the clicking, but it's supposed to be this like weird spinny thing that he does. In fact, there we go. We've got it spinning more on the back side, which is not the point, but there we go. So if I do that, that's basically it. So again, for the sake of the video, and once I let go of your wings, oh, that was kind of disappointing, that one. So yes, it's a fairly basic little gimmick. I'm not a big fan of it, but it is what it is. So, Skywarp. That was a bit of a very quick rundown on your robot mode because I'm not sure what to make what you're supposed to be. Warrior class, I'm very dubious of. I'm also not a big fan of your wings constantly moving. So I'm going to do the 7-step transformation. I'm not going to embarrass myself and do it on the video. And then we can have a quick look at the alt mode. And then I can do my final thoughts, which... yeah, we'll leave everything for the final thoughts. Anyway, here goes nothing for the transformation. Okay, and with the transformation done, and I am less and less inclined to believe this is supposed to be a warrior class as I play around with this figure more and more. Anyway, we'll come back to the transformation. As for the alt mode, so from the direct front, side, back, the other side, and a bit more of a from the top, from the bottom. It's a shame that the Decepticon logo is on the other side. And it gets a bit of an angle. Colors are all still basically the same, so we do see that, actually it seems more like a dark grey graphite. We do still see a bit of the blue coming in from the arms, even though I don't think they're necessarily supposed to be there. A little bit of red here, which is more of an artifact from the robot mode. Yellow for the cockpit canopy. And that's pretty much about it. So color-wise, it does seem a little bit more on the basic side, but at least it still is relatively uniform. Now as for articulation, I'll say it right now, it actually has nothing really useful in the way of articulation. The wings do flip around, but I think that's just because of the weird gimmick. But in saying that, and I think this is probably part of the original gimmick that's not covered by this, these parts of the wings can also come out as well. Now, they won't stay out, they will snap back in, so I think that is actually part of the little interesting wing gimmick thing that the robot mode has. Now, oddly enough, I will admit, having the Decepticon logo in there is actually a very nice form of detailing. I think the detailing on parts of this figure is probably the only thing that's making it borderline interesting. But anyway, that's for the review. So that's the alt mode. Colors checked, articulation has none, and that's about it. In terms of transformation, it was 7 steps. It's basically fold up the legs, fold over the body, and tab everything in. Now I will admit the tabbing actually has been nice. So there was some tabbing to keep the legs together. There's tabbing to basically interlock the main torso to the legs. And then as the front of the jet mode flips over, there's some tabbing in the arms to the main body of the jet. So tabbing wise, it's not too bad. It's probably one of the few things saving it. And even then, very dubious if it's even saving it. Okay, what are my final thoughts on quote-unquote Warrior Class Skywarp? Now, I didn't do it during the intermission, aka me transforming off screen, and there's me banging the camera. Robot mode for a warrior class, subpar is probably putting it politely. Very little, well, I was going to say little articulation, that's a bit of a lie. Very little useful articulation. The legs are basically forever stuck in the one thing, so from a playability perspective, the robot mode has much to be desired. Detailing is also pretty iffy as well, which is why I'm still very dubious about this quote-unquote warrior class label on it. The legs, now that I remember, completely hollow from the back. So once again, there's just a lot of elements in the robot mode that basically scream out, I am not a warrior class in any shape or form. The gimmick, the attack gimmick thing is probably more of a nuisance more than anything else. I appreciate that some of those things can be fun, but I think in this case, because they're so hard to get to work, it's, as I said, more of a nuisance than a benefit. So from the robot perspective, visually it wasn't too bad. Like, some of the colors actually are nice and cohesive, but that's probably about it. The lack of articulation, the fact that it's probably not a true warrior class figure, it's really dropped some of the value of the Skywarp figure. And I'm sure once I finally publish this and or post to Instagram, I will have found out if this really is a redeco of Starscream. So I very well may post it somewhere, even in a short, and just say, by the way, if you missed out on Cyberverse Starscream back from Bumblebee, here's a chance, just with a different name. So that was a robot mode. Transformation, very simplistic. It's... Now looking at the instruction manual, you can see that it's already geared towards 6+. So the transformation is probably aligned to a 6-year-old. It wasn't very difficult. The tabbing, as I mentioned earlier, is quite nice. But yeah, it's a simplistic transformation. You're not going to get too much playability out of it. It's just basically bending the figure over, and that's about it. As for the alt mode, it's okay visually. I think the robot mode looked better visually because it had some additional colors. It's a shame the wings are what they are, as opposed to having the Decepticon logo facing upwards. It's actually facing downwards. And the little wing gimmick, or whatever it is, isn't very useful in this alt mode. Now, if the wings could actually stay out, as opposed to be tied into a gimmick, I think that would have been cool, but to my earlier point, I'm just really strongly believing this is purely a redeco of a previous Starscream toy. So with that all being said, can I recommend Skywarp? If you're a Puritan collector and just get everything and anything, then by all means. I picked up Skywarp purely because it's such a small line of figures. I mean, what's the worst that could happen? He's definitely not a terrible figure, but bunching him up in the warrior class was probably... I won't say it's lying, although it kind of is, but yes, the label and the figure do not go hand in hand. If you're a Skywarp fan, then I can imagine why you would pick one up, because just another collection to the Skywarp shrine. And I think the other one would be if you really like the whole Seekers. I mean, that in itself is probably a good reason to get Skywarp. And if by chance you really do like the mold, and I guess this goes back to the Seeker comment, and you did miss Starscream from Bumblebee Cyberverse, obviously this is your opportunity to get it. Other than that, I am... Unless it's one of the reasons I mentioned, I would be very hard pressed to keep a straight face and actively recommend this to someone. And if I did, I would definitely be downplaying what it is, because I don't believe it's a warrior class. Given that it's 7 steps of transformation, it almost starts competing for the 1-step changes. And granted, I know it 7 steps is more than one, but yes, I feel there's an older intermediate figure class that catered to some of these, because I definitely wouldn't class it as warrior. So that's pretty much my final thoughts on quote-unquote warrior class Skywarp. Visually okay, does lack a bit in playability, so yes, it's definitely one of those you definitely have to have a solid reason as to why you would want to pick this up, or you once again just have cash to burn, but then that's probably into the category of you're a Puritan collector and you'll just grab everything. If you're wanting, as of right now, just a single figure out of the warrior class subline, out of Skywarp, Lita 1 and Optimus, I would say get Optimus if you really want a warrior class. Otherwise, I think the deluxes are probably going to have a bit more playability, and I will be rolling into those figures in the very near future as well, so definitely keep an eye out. I'm very tempted to start with Megatron and hope it goes off really well, and then go into Bumblebee in the other one. We'll see. I'm going to leave the unboxing and review there for Warrior Class Skywarp because I don't think there's anything else I can say that will either make this figure absolutely fantastic or rehash the same point for a third time over. I definitely don't regret getting it. I mean, I do have an appreciation for the Seekers. But yes, I'm glad he was the last of the 3 warrior classes I looked at, because lackluster, probably putting it lightly. Thank you very much for watching this interesting unboxing and review video. Feel free to leave a like. Please don't dislike it just because Skywarp figure is terrible. It's not my fault. Leave a comment or subscribe if you enjoyed the content, or at least some of the other content, or you actually might appreciate this video going, the honesty is nice. All of this does help support the channel, and I do greatly appreciate it. Extra content can also be found on my Instagram account, link in the description below. It's also the same handle as the channel. With that being said, stay safe and take care, and I will catch you all in a future video. And if it's a Transformers video, I'm hoping goes back to standard levels of figureness as opposed to what we have seen with Skywarp. Until the next time, see ya.